It's called the Surface Laptop 7th edition. It has Copilot Plus built into the system, a bunch of AI features, a touchscreen, and I can't wait to show you guys what this thing can do. What's going on, guys? My name is Dan Davis and I'm the creative director here on DansTube.TV. And today I'm checking out my brand new laptop. This is my new workstation for when I'm working with clients and a bit of a editing station as well. I did purchase this laptop with my own money and I needed to replace my old MacBook Pro 2015 edition. I got a fair bit of use out of that. The speakers started to crap out on me and I had some other issues with video calls and whatnot. And I was considering the MacBook Air range. I was considering a few other laptops, but the Surface laptop stood out to me for all of the features that it has available. I went for the Sapphire edition here and it looks absolutely gorgeous. When you open it up, the keypad is a blue as well. The trackpad, it's more of a darker blue. And then you got that sapphire color everywhere else. You can see there are no bezels really, a tiny amount of bezels around, gorgeous display on it. And this is the 13.8 inch version that I went for here. I don't seem to be too upset not getting the larger size. I thought I would be, but no, it's been perfect size for me. The design of it is sleek, beautiful metal body on it. It definitely reminds me of the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro range. They've definitely gone for more of an elegant Windows design here. Specifically, the version that I got was the 512 gigabyte hard drive sapphire color. I got the Snapdragon X Plus, which is the 10 core version with 16 gigabytes of RAM and the 13.8 inch touchscreen. The graphics on this system is the Qualcomm Adreno GPU, and the NPU is a Qualcomm Hexagon. I know a lot of people out there were a little bit hit and miss about the ARM infrastructure on a Windows system, and also a lot of people were a little hit or miss about the AI features embedded into the Surface Laptop 7. After using the laptop now for a few weeks on a variety of different tasks, I feel like I've got a pretty decent understanding of how this unit operates for me, and hopefully this will help you in your search for the right laptop for you. So in terms of what I've actually been doing on it, I've edited a few videos now and rendered a few videos using DaVinci Resolve. I've also played a few games, so I've only really been playing Rocket League as well as Uncrashed, which is an FPV drone simulator. That's one of my goals, to actually fly FPV properly. So I've tested those two games through Steam. I've used a bunch of the AI features, including the Paint Co-Create feature, which is kind of cool, kind of gimmicky, as well as Copilot as well, which actually has a standalone button on the laptop. So you can press that and it launches Copilot instantly. And then for my everyday use, I use it when I'm actually working with clients. So I work in a counseling capacity. The brand is called MetaMinds Therapy. Definitely check it out if you know anyone that needs some therapy or some support there. I've got a bunch of resources over there as well. But I use that for my client work when I'm going on video calls, when I'm typing up client notes. Maybe I need to give the laptop to the client to go through some details. So it's really cool in that regard because there's the touchscreen interface, a really clean laptop, a huge trackpad that's extremely responsive, and it's perfect for that just basic everyday web browsing use. When I unboxed the Surface Laptop 7, I was quite surprised that it had pretty much just the two items in it. So you get the laptop and then you get the charging brick. So this was like separated, but it's pretty much one item, right? So it comes with the MagSafe option. So if you actually like accidentally pull out the cable, it's just magnetically connected. So it's not gonna pull the laptop off the desk and onto the ground. And the power brick itself is tiny. I was not expecting it to be this small, but this has actually been quite surprising how small the charging system is, and the MagSafe works perfectly fine. In terms of the ports that you have available to you on this unit here, you have the MagSafe charging on one side with no other ports, and then on the other side, you've just got a 3.5mm audio jack, a USB-A, which would be USB 3.1, I would imagine, and then two USB-C ports as well. So a very simple offering, but the fact that you get USB-A is quite nice. A lot of the things I use still have USB-A. You can obviously get like a hub if you want to plug it in and have multiple ports as well, but quite a simple, clean interface. There's not too much going on here, and that's basically what you see on the unit itself. There's nothing else, a very clean design. One weird thing that I will comment on is when you actually open up the unit itself, there's no indent here to actually get your finger underneath. It's so flush that sometimes you can move the laptop back when you're trying to lift it. It isn't a major issue. I find that I'm used to it now, but interesting design choice there. If you are interested in the Surface Laptop 7, I will have some links below. Feel free to check those out and see what customization options you might want, because you can tweak it a little bit. You can have the larger screen, you can have the more powerful CPU, There's a bunch of different customization options as always when it comes to laptops and computers, so check those links below. Windows 11 seems to run perfectly fine on the unit as you would imagine, and you do have the Copilot button here that you can tap, and as you can see, instantly launches the AI assistant here. This does seem to be integrated into a few Microsoft products. I haven't fully used that yet, but just in terms of having an AI assistant similar to ChatGPT is really handy for me when I'm creating content, wanting to write articles, reply to an email, or whatever it may be, that kind of basic everyday use that you would actually use AI for the average person. It's really handy, and to have it a buttons push away is great. In terms of the everyday use, like I spoke about before, the trackpad and the keyboard, I find there's a decent amount of travel on the keyboard. It's really satisfying to type on. They are backlit keys, which is very clean as well. And then the actual trackpad itself is very nice. It's got a decent amount of haptic feedback on it, extremely responsive to touch. And then on top of that, you can use the gorgeous display as well as a touchscreen. And I found that the touchscreen was impressively responsive. I didn't know if it was going to be a gimmick for me, but I actually got myself the Arc mouse. So, I have that as my mouse. And then to be able to use the touchscreen and the keyboard at the same time, I just feel like I've got a bunch of options for how I want to use the laptop system. And if we compare it to the Mac range, the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, none of them have touchscreen, right? And it's something that a lot of people want. A lot of people say, oh, it's because of the iPad, they don't want to eat into the sales, or other people say, oh, it's the operating system, it's not optimized for that. I feel like it's more so because they actually have a touchscreen iPad range and they don't want to eat into those sales. So something like this is really cool. And I promise you, you will be impressed by having the touchscreen. You'll find that you'll use it more than you would expect. The display is HDR and the refresh rate is 120 Hertz. So it's been great for all of the things that I've put it through. I've found the battery life to be a huge standout here. Considering there's so much going on, like I'll be using it, I'll have an editing tab open, rendering a video, I might be doing something on the internet, I might have Copilot up or whatever it may be. And I find that the battery life performs really well. I've been extremely impressed with how much I can get out of it on an average day. I'm only seeming to charge it every couple of days because I'm just getting so much battery life out of it. They say you get up to 20 hours of battery life, so that's nearly a full day of battery life. And if we think about that in a working day, like 8 hours per day, you can get a couple of days out of that, right? And average use, you can probably get 2 to 3 days comfortably without having to charge it. When we get into the higher realm of gaming all the time and rendering and all that kind of stuff, it's probably only going to give you around a day and a half, but still phenomenal battery life. And I've been rendering the videos on the battery performance and again, seemed perfectly fine. On the note of editing though, you will see that it does seem to max out the graphics a fair bit. Now, DaVinci Resolve doesn't seem to be fully optimized just yet for the ARM infrastructure. And obviously the Surface Laptop 7 only just came out, but DaVinci Resolve does work flawlessly. It renders ridiculously fast. Everything seems fine. I guess it's more so just the graphics seem to be maxed out. It doesn't seem to be fully optimized. And occasionally, like if you dump a few color variations on, you tweak the colors a little bit, maybe you put some effects in there or speed ramps or whatever it may be, it can seem to be a little bit sluggish when you have a bunch going on. But for me, for my needs, right, like I have an editor that does most of my video content, but there's videos that I still want to occasionally do myself that are just a bit more basic. And that could just be like cutting something, tweaking the color, cropping something, adding something in. Something super basic, right? That I just want to do as my own video and I want to edit it really quickly. That's where I found the Surface Laptop 7 great. Not for extended, intense editing sessions, but just for really basic editing. And so if that's your use case, right now it seems to be perfectly fine for just basic projects. When it comes to the gaming side of things, I've only really tested it with the FPV simulator, which is called Uncrashed. I used that with the FPV Remote Control 3, and it was fine. It always seems like when you launch the game, it seems to stutter a bit, but then once everything's loaded in, it was fine, right? And I find the same performance on my PC anyway when you launch into the game. The graphics, again, were getting pretty close to getting maxed out. Performance was fine though. Never had any issues with the games crashing or anything like that. And then also on Rocket League, same kind of thing. I know it's a little bit of an older game, but again, for just basic gaming, it seems to be fine, right? And that's kind of all I really want it for again. So I want a system that's perfect for my everyday use when it comes to the web browsing, the AI features, stuff that I'm doing with clients, super basic stuff, it's perfectly fine for that. Now, when we're talking editing for my needs, I just need basic editing needs. And when it comes to the gaming side of things, I'm not gonna be maxing it on AAA titles. So again, for just a couple of games that I might wanna jump into here and there, perfectly fine. There is a new feature in Paint called Co-Create, and I thought it was going to be a little gimmicky, but it's also kind of cool. So you have the option to just type in a few keywords, and then from there, you can draw something basic. It will start to render some form of graphic for you. You can change the different styles if you want, like anime, watercolor, whatever it may be. And then from there, you can drag the slider for how creative you want the render to be for you, the AI generation. And it's kind of cool. Like, it did a pretty good job when I did a few keywords, a few prompts in there. It was fine. And if you can then use that for some projects, maybe for like an article or like a social media post, perfectly fine for something like that, especially if you have a little bit of art skill yourself. For me, I'm not at all an artist. I struggle to even do stick figures, but it still does an amazing job. Like, I tried to do a bird with popcorn. It did a pretty good job. I've tried to do whales in the past. Pretty good job. Drone stuff, decent. Again, I thought it was going to be a complete gimmick, but I think I will use it here and there. Just on the AI features, the recall feature doesn't seem to be available right now from what I can see. I believe it will be coming out later. I don't know fully what that's going to look like in the workflow. And then the other AI side, which I've touched on a fair bit, which is the Copilot side of things. They call it a Copilot Plus PC. So Copilot is embedded almost into the operating system. And that also can use DALL-E 3 for image renders as well. You can use your voice, so you can talk to it and get it to do its thing, dump in images in there. There's a few different communication styles, and it seems to integrate nicely with the operating system and gives you a bunch of versatility and control over the AI infrastructure that's already built into it. The webcam is a 1080p AI enhanced webcam, and for the scenarios that I've been in where I've had to do like a video call with a client, or I've tried it a little bit when I've wanted to record something like me talking to the camera and maybe showing my screen, it's kind of decent. It's not the most amazing thing in the world, and I think it's going to be enhanced, but what it seems to do is it seems to overcompensate a little bit. So in low light, for example, it seems to like try to oversaturate it, and it seems to like try to tweak it so heavily that it can become a little bit grainy. Or the other issue is it oversaturates it so that the colors look a little bit off, and it will continue to tweak it throughout the video call. So I feel like it needs to be a little bit more stable. If the room's well lit, it's fine. But it's more so if it's just a low light situation, it seems to tweak it too much. Or if the light changes, like if you have light coming through the window and it becomes overcast, for example, it will like heavily try to enhance it, and then it can be a little hit or miss. Overall, it's fine. But again, I just think that there needs to be some tweaking there. It needs to become a little bit more stable before I can say this is a phenomenal webcam, basically. I know one of the big concerns for people was the compatibility of software. And I've found that so far, the software that I'm using, like I'll be using, Spotify and Handbrake, DaVinci Resolve, Steam, I use like Notepad+, and I got a bunch of other little like things that I use for YouTube. All of that stuff has been fine. Like there are specific downloads for the ARM version on Windows. I guess the big issue right now is the fact that it's clearly not optimized for gaming and clearly not optimized for video rendering and editing. That's the two, I guess, big red flags right now. But overall, like I've been saying through the video, like it performs perfectly fine for my needs. It's more so if you're like really pushing it to its max, you will notice that it will start to have some issues. And that's what I'm saying. Like with AAA games, you might have to downgrade the graphics a little bit. If we're talking DaVinci Resolve, if you chunk a bunch of layers on it, color grading, a bunch of effects and all that kind of stuff, again, it's going to struggle a little bit with that. You're going to probably have to pull down the actual display proxy a little bit, like the live view feed. You might have to pull the quality of that down just a little bit. But I feel like this stuff is going to be optimized and it will clearly be improved. There's clearly support for it there. But I think overall, like for just an everyday laptop with a bunch of versatility and power behind it, it's been great for my needs. It really has. I'm not upset with the purchase. I thought I was going to be a bit upset potentially with some of the limitations of it. I watched so many videos trying to figure out if it was right for me. And so far, I feel like it is right for my needs. Hopefully, my insights into what I'm using it for will help you make sense of if it's worthwhile for you. But if you're just looking for something for basic web browsing, it probably might not be for you because you can get like a cheaper laptop that's going to do the job. If you're looking for something that's going to be a beast at editing, there are probably better alternatives out there. But for something that offers all of these options, that's what I kind of loved about it. It's got so many features and it works on so many different levels, right? So that's where I feel like it's a great laptop for my needs. So I might revisit the Surface Laptop 7 again at a later date to see if things have been optimized, to see if the editing side of things and the gaming side of things have been improved. But everything works. I've had no bugs, no issues with it. The experience has been flawless overall, and I can't complain. I've been happy with it. It's great for what it's trying to be. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate all of the support. I will chat to you in the next one. Have a wonderful week and peace out.